Hey, this is James Worsnup of Hostile American Coffee. If you really want to learn to level up your life, you should be listening to Time to Shine Today podcast with my great friend Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I got my buddy, my boy, my fellow veteran, James Worsnup, who has lived a hellacious life. I can kind of relate, and I have a lot of friends that can relate as well. A fellow veteran, Navy guy, also an Army guy, but we won't hold that against him. I'm just kidding. No, I love Jimmy, man. He's awesome. He's referred to me by my really good friend, Kerry Marafino, and he is the founder of Hostile American Coffee, where 100% of the proceeds goes to veterans and Mission 22 and a couple other organizations that help them level up and pull people back from the edge and help them start to thrive in life and not just survive. So without further ado, I'm going to have James tell his story. Listen closely. There's a 10-bag coffee giveaway, so make sure you listen to the end. So without further ado, here's James Worsnup, founder of Hostile American Coffee. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I was introduced to this gentleman, James Worsnup, by my really good friend Kerry Marafino. So shout out to Kerry out there. James has this coffee here, which is Hostile Coffee, and I love grinding the beans. And by the way, if you watch on YouTube or Vimeo or whatnot, I just held up a bag. It's awesome. I'm going to do a free giveaway for a bag of coffee at the end, so you have to listen to the end. He's not only a coffee connoisseur, but he's a leadership expert. He's a military vet of both the Navy and the Army. Go Navy, beat Army. And he served his community as a flight paramedic. He's been diagnosed with severe PTSD, so he's a brother in arms of mine. I've been diagnosed with it as well. And he just really has a passion for leveling up and helping veterans just like me. So we're brothers from different mothers here, so he's working towards and hope to help through raising money for veteran organizations like Mission 22. And he says, I guess later in my life, he wants to make a shift from stuff to significance, which he's already doing. He's leveling people up. And that's going to be, I think, the title of our show here is the shift from stuff to significance. So James, thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself to the Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
My favorite color is black.
Wow.
The reason being is I was born in 1964, but I'm a big time 50s person. And when you look at the old hot rods from the 50s,
dude, yes.
They're black and they're cool as can be. And I owned race cars and stuff, and everything's black. I love the color black.
Brother, you do not look 57, 58, man. If you're watching Squad, this guy is pretty well put together. I know he's a battler, some mixed martial arts and jiu-jitsu and whatnot. It's another brother in arms with me. It was just awesome to be in combat sports my whole life as well. So this is just fantastic. So James, let's talk a little bit about, your roots and then kind of moving it up through maybe a little bit of your military life and then how you're using what you've learned in lessons to help veterans.
Well, I grew up here in Phoenix, Arizona, middle income family. His brother, sister, two parents. Everything's pretty normal. I raced race cars for my uncle, who I just lost to COVID in February, two Februarys ago. Actually, a year ago on the 2nd. But my life was pretty normal growing up. I've always been a patriot. My dad was ex-military. He was in the Navy, actually Navy Reserves when I was growing up.
Okay.
And I wanted to join the military, so I did. Left high school, joined the military at 17 years old, and I was in Beirut in 1983 when the truck came in and blew up and killed 244 Americans, 266 people total. I was there. That was my first stint in combat, and I was on land, and I had some bad things, go on through there. But while I was in the military, the funny part is while I was in the military, I never had issues with what we did and what happened.
Right.
It didn't bother me. I got out of the military. I went from the 10 years in the Navy, 10 years in the Army. I got out of the military, and I was in through, Beirut, Grenada, Kuwait, Mogadishu, all that kind of stuff. But when I got out and Iraq happened, and they started trying people in the military in courts of law for things that they did. And some of those things were a lot less than the things that we did. Right. That's when I started feeling like, holy crap, before I was a service, I was servicing my country. I was doing what they told. And now they kind of make you turn into an animal, by the way, they're trying to convict 19-year-old kids because they have a minute second to make a decision that people in court take days to make. And they don't understand. So that's what triggered my PTSD. That's what really got me where I felt, man. So, and it's gotten worse since then, just because of, life in general. And so my passion is to help people. I have been suicidal in my past. And when you look at 22 veterans a day taking their lives, it's really sad to me. And I think the real number is like 19 right now. I think we've gone down in a couple of years, but it's still not an insignificant number.
One is too significant for me. I understand. My little brother took his life. He served and had 4 people in the Persian Gulf War that I had served with, and they did the same. So I appreciate you saying that, man. And
it breaks my heart. So, the coffee company, we started that for the purpose of supporting Mission 22. I don't have the skills to do what they do, but I have the skills to support them in what they do.
Sure.
That's what the coffee. Right now, I'm not taking anything out of the company. All the profits at this point are going to Mission 22.
Can you tell us what Mission 22 is, please?
So Mission 22 is a phenomenal organization. The two that I really like is Gary Sinise and Mission 22.
Love it.
They actually reach out to veterans and who are having problems, and they get them through, but they'll also take care of their family. If their family's having issues with it too, they'll consult their families. They do amazing. It's just the vast variety of what they do is, if you put on a wish list, I wish someone would come talk to my brother in your case, if it happened early enough, they do it. Right. And they get them in the right places. They get them connected to the right places, the right people, and they get them through, because PTSD, if you have PTSD like I do, it's not always there. I mean, it's in the back, but you can function, you can move forward, but there's times that something triggers you and you may not even know your triggers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And boom, you're in a depression that is just
paralyzing.
Or you have this rage build up into you. Now, some of us can control it to a really good point. But that doesn't mean it's not there. And it doesn't mean it doesn't affect the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
But Mission 22 is really good about pulling people off that edge and teaching them how to stay off that edge.
Wow. How are they seeking these people out, or do the people have to seek out Mission 22? Or
I think it's both. I think they get leads, and then I think people just reach out to them.
Isn't that crazy when you say leads? It's like it's like a really messed up situation with and to go back to your story of a 19-year-old having to take, make trigger decisions that quick. I coach veterans also pro bono. That are for their visionary mindset breakthrough, to get them help. And dude, at 19, your brain literally physiologically is still developing until you're 25, dude. So just imagine the shit that's, excuse my language, squad, that is buried in there. And it gets baked in, right? It's like, dude, it gets baked in there. You don't even know triggers, like you just said. So. Dude, your cause is fantastic. So your Hostile Coffee, which squad I am sipping on it right now, legitly. Every penny you said goes towards like Mission 22 or a veteran support organization.
Yes, at this point, I'm sending all the profit there.
Okay, awesome. And what makes you think coffee, my friend?
I drink it every morning, and it's just something I like. It's just I think everybody drinks coffee. Yeah, not everybody, but
no, I feel you, man. Yeah, 86% of the United States that's over the age of 25 has a cup of coffee a day. Isn't that crazy?
It's unreal. I mean, you look at Black Rifle Coffee does 163 million a year. Wow. Death Wish Coffee, which you just buy at Walmart, does $9 or $10 million a year in coffee sales. And I just ought to tell you that there's a lot of people that drink coffee. So if I can have my morning coffee and to wake me up, make me feel good for the day, why can't I do that and send money to Mission 22 at the same time?
Dude. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about your leadership style then, James. What kind of leadership style do you have?
So the term servant leadership gets thrown around a lot, you know. Well, my leadership style is really an education style. I believe that my job as a leader is to train people to take my position. That's a scary concept for people in this world because they're all worried about their jobs. But if I can train you to do my job and help you do your job and give you a sense of significance in your job, you're going to do much better.
Yeah.
Statistics show that only about 30% of the people leave a job because of money.
Right.
They leave jobs because of leadership.
Leadership and their emotion attached to the job as well. And it can like either hurt their ego, stroke their ego. I get it. So what one thing that, Scott, I want to add to what my good friend James here says is that, you know, like he's wanting to find somebody to almost replace him in a sense, understand that you can have the skills to do it. And James understands that for success, there's an abundance of success. It's kind of like money. Right. It's like there's so much of it going around. You just have to open your mind up to that. So with that being said, James, when you're starting to work with somebody to help them level up their leadership, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
That they would ask me?
Yes.
Yeah, what drives me to do it the way I do it? You know, you get asked a lot of questions, but in business, you get asked, how do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this?
Yes.
And if you answer that way, it's almost akin to micromanagement. And my view on micromanagement is if I micromanage my employees, I've really taken them out of the picture.
Sure.
They're just doing it my way.
Right.
Well, if I hire correctly, right, and I hire smart people and creative people and people that understand the vision, I need to keep their brains that way. So I need to give them here's where we're at, here's where we need to be. Let's get it done. Yeah. Now, that doesn't mean you don't monitor it to make sure they're going the right direction. But just as leaders and as human beings, when we get focused on one thing, we all get tunnel vision.
Yes.
Which means we probably don't have the whole picture all the time. We think we do. We always think we do, but we don't necessarily. But if I give you a task and say this needs to be done this way, you might find a better, faster, easier, and less expensive way to do it than the way I'm doing it.
Love it.
Right.
That's awesome. You unleash them in a sense, kind of like no different than what the military did with us, right? In a sense where they teach you to do it, but you go and perform. And a good leader will make those micro shifts. What do they call it now? Pivot. You know, I call it shivot. I call it shivot. You know, shift or pivot, whatever, man.
Right.
Like to keep them on that guy. You're like almost become the gator, the navigator, right?
Right.
Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome that you say that, man. So a lot of people will talk about their strengths. We know what yours are. What are your weaknesses and how much do you appreciate them?
Well, I don't appreciate my weaknesses at all. Okay. But my weaknesses are sometimes I have a problem with backing out of a situation when I should probably back out.
Dude, we're separated at birth, just 9 years apart, dude, or 8 years apart. I swear.
I know I'm supposed to do things, but sometimes it's just like I can't just walk away.
Right.
But I'm getting better at it every day. You know, I do. My goal is 1%.
Yeah,
I want 1% better a day.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. So I ask everybody this question, but you've seen Back to the Future, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the Double Deuce, the 22-year-old James. What kind of knowledge nuggets would you drop on him at that age to help him shorten his learning curve, level up, and blast through just a little bit? Not so much change stuff, James, but to maybe shorten that learning curve a little bit.
Oh, I would change a lot of stuff if I was 22.
Okay.
Anybody says they don't have regrets, didn't try hard enough in life, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
But at 20, if I could tell my 22-year-old self now, it would be don't chase money, chase happiness. That's my stuff to significance, right? My whole life I've worked hard so I could have things, you know. I've had boats and motorcycles and race cars, and I've had all these things because I worked hard to gather them. Right. Well, I believe everybody goes through it. And when you go through it is just determined on who you are as a person. But I think there's a point where you go, wait a minute, you know, I'm not happy anymore. Stuff doesn't make you happy.
Right.
When you get to the point, and you get to that point, you realize when you help people, you get a better feeling inside.
Okay.
And that's the significance, right? So that's actually what the coffee is for me. It's part of my significance. I'm now helping people for something I like to do and I love. So now I get to help people and I get that joy back from that.
Wow. So,
but I think everybody goes through it at one point. It's like your legacy. No, we don't think about our legacy when we're young.
No, man.
We think by having fun.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and there's nothing wrong with fun, right? But just make sure that you do like me, I have 90 minutes every morning. My squad knows this. And the people that are part of my preferred group, they follow me. It's like I get up at a certain time and I give 90 minutes to Scott Ferguson. Nobody else. You know, my dog makes out on it because he's either on my paddleboard with me or on a walk, right? My pit, my rescue pit, you know, that's what he gets out of it. But other than that, it's about me. It's journaling, it's breathing, it's stretching, mobility exercises, getting ready for my day so I can go serve others. And I love that. So how do you want that dash remembered, man? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date. How do you want James's dash remembered?
Man, you know what? You know, I've done things that weren't good in life, and I've done things that were great in life, so to speak. I just want to be remembered as a good man. That's it. I don't have visions of grandeur as far as my legacy goes. I just want people to think, man, you know, he was a good dude.
Yeah, you are.
That's it.
You're a go-giver, bro. You're amazing. So then let's take out of the equation anything electronic, meaning no cell phones, no computers, no anything. And also let's take out the basics of air, gravity, water. And also let's take out this equation, family. Okay, so no family, none of the basics, none of the electronics. What are three things James can't live without?
Wow, that's a good one. Since you took out family, I already had my answer.
We already know that, bro. We already know that.
My freedom.
Dude, oh my gosh. My last podcast said exactly like that. My last interview. Awesome. Thank you for saying that.
My freedom. Peace.
Okay.
And the ocean.
My dude, got to come visit. Me and Marifino will take you out, man.
I'll come visit.
Yeah, you know what? I think that you left out one thing, and I'm not trying to call you out on this or anything like that, but I think that with you living on purpose, serving people, dude. It's like, I don't think you can go through life without serving, man. I just don't. I mean, look what you do with this awesome sauce coffee, dude. It's like you give every freaking penny. And it ain't free to make, bro. So that's awesome, man. I really, really appreciate you saying that. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. We are back with my good friend James, and he's got Hostile Coffee, fantastic coffee. I'm sipping on it right now. We have a free giveaway at the end, so make sure you listen through. But James, you and I could talk an hour on each one of these questions, okay?
Sure.
You've got, we'll give you 6 seconds to answer the question with no explanations at all.
All right.
And all of them can be answered. You ready to go?
Okay.
Let's level up, man. What is the best leveling up advice James has ever received?
Ignore the big things. Take care of the little things.
Love it. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Personal habits that contribute to my success?
Yes, sir.
I never quit thinking. I never quit
That's
dreaming.
it, man. That's it. So you see me walk down the street, or we're in the jiu-jitsu mats or whatnot, and you say, man, Friggy just looks like he's in his doldrums. Other than give me a cup of coffee, Hostile Coffee, what book would you be handing me?
The One Thing.
Yeah, Gary Keller, baby. Awesome.
Absolutely.
I've actually rocked stages with Gary before. That's awesome.
I use that for everything in business.
Love it.
Not just real estate.
Love it. Your most commonly used emoji when you text?
Smiley face. I'm not a big emoji guy.
Nicknames growing up?
Jim, James, Jamie, JR.
Love it. Don't lie to me on this one, my friend, but if you could say one age physically for the rest of your life, keep that knowledge you've garnered and continue to gain wisdom, what age physically would you stay for the rest of your life?
47.
Okay, very good. Was there any New Year's resolutions?
No, I don't do resolutions.
Neither do I. Chess or checkers?
Chess.
Love it. Wow, smarty pants. Awesome. Favorite charity and/or organization you like to give your time or money to?
Mission 22.
Mission 22.
Other
Beautiful.
than Mission 22, I give to prevention of child abuse.
Love
and
it.
there's another one called Operation Underground Railroad.
Beautiful.
That rescues kids.
Yes, love it. Army Navy game. Who you rooting for? Quickly.
Navy.
All right, my dude. Last question, and you can elaborate on this one a little bit, but what's the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Well, if I have to pick
50s.
one of those, I'll say 80s. Other than that, it's the 50s.
I was just going to say, I should have added it. I did that on purpose. Awesome, brother. Do me a favor, tell us a little bit about the coffee, how they can find it.
Well, we have a website, hostileamericancoffee.com. Everything's on sale right now. I think it's $16.99 a bag, and we pay for the shipping. You don't pay for the shipping.
Wow.
The cool part about this coffee is I vetted some roasters so I can get the right coffee, but I also vetted them for where they get their coffee from. This coffee is all ethically sourced, meaning the people in the fields that are picking it are actually making a living doing it. The roaster roasts it special. It's not bitter at all. I have probably the least bitter coffee you'll ever have.
It's smooth. I love it. I'm a dark roast guy. I love my coffee dark. And
me too.
It's amazing. There's no bite to it. You know what I'm saying? Like you just said, that's fantastic, man. And squad, we're going to do a bag giveaway to 3 people that just said no, actually, you know what? I want you to put into any of our social, what's that?
Let's make it 10.
10 bags.
I'll send 10 bags of coffee. I'll send you one and 9 more.
Awesome. So we're going to have 10, 9 bags of coffee because I'm keeping my bag. We're going to do anybody that puts in Mission 22, and that could be across any platform, Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, anywhere. They put in Mission 22. We will send you a bag of Hostile coffee. And James, do me one favor and leave us with one last knowledge nugget you want us to take with us, internalize, and take action on.
Well, right out of the one thing. When you get up in the morning, think of the one thing that you need to do to make that day go right.
Yes.
The smallest common denominator, one thing. Wow,
that's awesome. And squad, we had to be a little bit quick in this interview, and I can't wait to collaborate with my good friend James in the future, man. Someone that lived a real life, did the deed, is under hard target situations, had suicidal thoughts. So you could blame him with this, 19 people a day commit suicide. And it's terrible. That should be 0 people a day. Unfortunately, in reality, we will probably never get there, but we need to keep shrinking that number, man. He started Hostile Coffee to help support Mission 22 and try to maybe help people off that edge. And that's what Mission 22 does, is help people off that edge. He's a servant leader. He loves to educate the people that he works with or that he coaches or consults with to almost take his position, because James understands there's an abundance of success, money, everything that's good in this life out there for us. If you're starting to work with a coach or a consultant or a leader, ask why they do what they do. And they better have a damn good question for that. Okay. He wants to bring people onto his team, and he wants you to bring people on your team that you can actually give direction to, and then let them go out and perform and make those micro shifts, pivots, whatnot when needed. Okay. So it's just kind of like a Belichick thing. And when he had Tom Brady, he didn't go out there and get the snap. He's like, listen, this game plan, go out and execute. If you don't execute, he's going to make the shifts that need to be made. He wants you to remember, don't chase money. Okay. Chase happiness and do it within the service of people. Like we say at Time to Shine today, we do what we love in the service of people that love what we do, because if they know that you don't love it, they're going to feel it. You're never going to be able to level them up. And this is the thing about my good boy, Jim Bob, that he's planting trees that he will never sit in the shade of. Okay. What he's doing is he's out there serving people every day and trying to level up, get that suicide number down. But he's doing things now that people are never going to forget about him. But he's never going to be able to physically sit in the shade of those trees. Okay. He's a good, be remembered as a good human being, and a dude that slid across home plate, a little bumped, bruised, but he made it, and he brought a lot of people through with him and leveled them up. And don't forget, on the Hostile Coffee, they're ethically sourced beans. Okay. Which means the people that are working are not sweatshops. They're getting paid to do what they do. Okay. And when you wake up in the morning, do that one thing and focus on that one thing. You tell people what helped me through my PTSD was focusing. The help that I got was focusing on one thing, because your brain will try to internalize many things at once. But if you focus on the one thing, you can find success, and that one thing should have a little bit of service in it. And that's what James did. Again, it's like a free masterclass. James levels up his health, levels up his wealth. He's humble yet hungry. He's a badass dude. He did say Navy for that Army Navy game, so he's a friend for life. And just thanks so much for coming on, brother. I love your guts.
Dude, I love my time with you, brother.
Awesome. Chat soon.
Chat soon.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast. Proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you are a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.